Hello folks, it's Adam at All Things Bonsai. It is July and there is a heat wave on, so we are watering regularly at the moment, to say the least. A customer's brought us in this little Chinese Elm here, which hasn't been watered for a good few days. I'm not sure whether there was an emergency or something happened, but basically it didn't get watered at all. So here we go, he's brought it in for us to try and fix it up. So I just wanted to show you what we'll do, just in case the same thing happens to you. First thing to check is if it's actually still alive. The way I'm going to check if it's still alive is I'm going to do a scratch test. So I'm going to take my fingernail, I'm just going to find a little branch here and I'm just going to scratch at the bark just a little bit there, can you see? And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the cambium layer that's just underneath the bark. Now if this branch is alive, then the cambium layer, the living layer just underneath the bark, will be a green colour. Now can you see that there? Yeah. You can, can't you? So in that case, this individual little branch is still alive. Now I'm scratching at these little wispy ones here, but there's no sign of any green cambium layer just underneath there. So what it looks like is this particular one is dead. So it looks like with this particular tree, the very small, tiny branches have died off, but the slightly thicker major branches just in here, they're still alive, which is great news, really great news. Now what should happen then, particularly with a Chinese elm like this, is that the little wispy bits that have died, they've had it, I mean there's no coming back for them, but it should chuck out loads of new little buds and loads of new little shoots further down inside here. So what I would do under this circumstance then is I would leave these little dead bits on. Maybe you could just trim them, but if you know they're dead, then you could maybe get rid of them. But the main thing that I would do is wait for the back budding to occur and then trim the long dead stuff off. You'll end up with a smaller tree in the middle, but it'll regrow quite well. I'm sat here in the back garden having a beer after a really hot day, and I just remember there's something I forgot to put in the video, so I'm just going to put it in here now essentially. But certain trees of course will back bud very well, and that tends to be the deciduous trees, but other trees just won't back bud very well at all. So with a lot of the trees, if it has dried out all the way, then you've lost it and there's not much that you can necessarily do. It's worth trying, but it's not forced to work as well with some things. It definitely works better with others. So if you find out that your tree is in a similar situation to that, there's some tips that we can give you to try and help the tree to live. So just go back to watering normally. There's no need to go ridiculous on the watering. Absolutely leathering it in water constantly is not going to help. It's not like a magic remedy or anything like that. So obviously don't ever let it dry out again, but equally absolutely drowning the thing is not going to help you. Now at our place, this is a fairly shady spot. You know, the sun doesn't get here an awful lot. So if I was working with a poorly tree, I'd be putting it into a shady position like this. All you're trying to do really is stop the tree having to work so hard. You know, the hotter it is and the sunnier it is, the more physical water the tree needs to pump. So by keeping it in a shadier spot, as I say, the tree doesn't have to work so hard, which will aid its recovery. Ash has just asked me to let you know, by the way, that this isn't like a sick tree corner or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? These trees are all good, but if I did have a sick tree, this is where it would be. Now what we don't do is we don't feed them when they're poorly. We tend not to feed poorly trees anyway, unless it's the lack of nutrition that's making them ill, but that's a matter for another day. So don't feed your tree. If all the leaves have gone crispy and dried off through lack of water, heavy fertilising does not help initially. Another thing people quite often ask me is, oh, should I change the soil? Should I repot it? No, basically don't mess about with that. Not when this disaster has just happened to your tree. It won't help, it'll probably hurt it. This is a little Zelkova serrata, and it's in one of these little rectangular pots. Now what happened to this was, it was outside and we were watering normally, but it got knocked over, so it ended up just like that. And it was just sat on the floor and I didn't see it. So when we were watering, the water fell on here, and of course no moisture got in there whatsoever. So basically it fell over and it got really dry. So it looked quite a lot like this. But I wanted to show it you now because I just wanted you to see the kind of regeneration that happens. If you have a good look at that now, you can see that it's budded in down here and we've got some new shoots coming all over it, but we did have some dead branches. So essentially before it looked kind of like this, and all these lung bits, they all died off. So I got my scissors, I came in here and just nipped off all the lung dead bits, and now it's regenerated and budded back, so hopefully it's on the road to recovery. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the video. So just to be clear, dried out tree, the tree has started to recover here. So what we've done is we've gone back to normal watering, we've moved it to a shady spot, we haven't fed it for a while, we certainly haven't changed the soil or anything like that. This one dried out about, I think it was probably about 3 weeks, a month ago, so that's the kind of time frame that you're looking at to get that regeneration. At this point we would definitely feed, and then hopefully things will get back to normal and it's not a complete disaster. So thanks very much for watching, hope you liked the video, and I will see you soon.